Don't bother packing too much, my dad said, smirking while holding the front door open. You won't need much where you're going, maybe a conscience. I stood frozen, the words slicing through me like broken glass. Behind him, my sister Emily leaned on the wall, arms crossed, pretending to wipe fake tears. Dad, please, she whispered dramatically. I just don't feel safe around her anymore. Safe. That word hit harder than the cold air outside. Hi everyone. My name is Claire Weston, and the night my father threw me out, I was 17, terrified, shivering, and falsely accused of a crime I didn't even understand. The lie came out of nowhere. One minute we were at dinner, the next she was crying, saying I'd hurt her. No one asked me what happened. No one looked at me. Just my father's voice echoing through the dining room. You disgust me. I remember the sound of my fork clattering against the plate. The smell of burnt chicken. The silence that followed as Mom stared down, too afraid to meet my eyes. I didn't fight it. Not because I was guilty, but because I knew nothing I said would matter. My father's truth was law. Emily's word was scripture. As I packed my small suitcase, one hoodie, 2 jeans, a photo of Mom and me before everything changed, I caught my sister's reflection in the hallway mirror. She wasn't crying anymore. She was smiling. Outside, snow began to fall. My breath turned to fog. I walked toward the bus stop with numb hands, clutching that photo like it could still protect me. Behind me, my father's house glowed warm and golden, a light I knew I'd never see again. I didn't cry until the bus doors shut. Not because of losing my home, but because I realized something horrifying. My sister had won. Or so she thought. Because years later, she'd come back into my life, claiming I owed her. And that's when I stopped being the quiet girl who left in silence. That's when I went nuclear. 7 years later, I'd rebuilt myself from ashes. No family. No support. Just long shifts, quiet nights, and a stubborn will to survive. By 24, I had my own marketing firm. Small but real. My clients respected me, my employees trusted me, and I finally slept in peace. Until one morning, a familiar name popped up on my phone. Emily Weston. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Then I saw the message. Hey Claire. Remember that night when Dad kicked you out? I could have pressed charges back then. But I didn't. You owe me for that. I read the text 3 times. My fingers trembled, not with fear but fury. She attached a photo. A blurry image of me from years ago crying outside that house. 10 grand. Or I tell everyone what you did. You should be grateful I kept quiet. Grateful. That word again, poisoned, sharp, and arrogant. I didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, I stared out the window at the city skyline. The woman reflected back at me wasn't that broken girl from 17. I whispered to my reflection, "You want a game, Emily? Fine." That week I started digging. I reached out to old contacts, mutual friends, and one name came up again and again. Ethan Keller, her fiancé. A real estate investor. Clean image. Perfect reputation. So I decided to ruin it. I didn't need lies. I only needed truth. And Emily, as always, had plenty to hide. The deeper I looked, the darker it got. Stolen charity funds, fake invoices, even secret messages to another man. By Friday, I knew exactly what to do. I set my phone on record, called her, and said in the calmest voice possible, "Emily, you're right. I do owe you. Meet me tomorrow. Let's settle it properly." Her laughter filled the line, smug and careless. Finally. I knew you'd come around. If only she knew what I was really preparing for. The cafe I chose wasn't random. It was the same one across from our old high school, where Dad once used to pick us up after debate club. I arrived early, watching snow swirl outside like ghosts of my past. When Emily walked in, she looked exactly as I remembered. Perfect hair, designer coat, a face too proud to belong to anyone innocent. She spotted me instantly and smiled, that fake sweetness I used to fall for. "Claire," she said, sitting down. "You look successful." "Thanks," I replied calmly. "You look expensive." Her smile tightened. She didn't realize I was recording. "So," she leaned in, "you ready to make this right?" "Make what right?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. "You ruined my peace back then. You turned everyone against me. I just want what's fair." Fair. Another poisoned word. I stirred my coffee slowly. 10,000 for your silence, right? He nodded, smug. "Yes. And don't think you're doing me a favor. You owe me for not ruining your life." Her arrogance was my confirmation. Every word was evidence now, neatly saved in my phone. I leaned forward. You know, Emily, it's funny you say I ruined your life, but I'm the one who got thrown out. I lost everything. He shrugged. Maybe you deserved it. That was the moment something inside me broke. Not with pain but precision. I smiled, cold and quiet. You're right. Maybe I did. Then I slid an envelope across the table. Inside wasn't cash. It was a set of printed emails, screenshots of her fake charity scams, and messages between her and the man she was cheating with. Her face drained of color. What is this? Proof, I said softly. Of who really deserves what. She reached for the papers, but I pulled them back. Oh, don't worry. Ethan will get his copy tonight. Her voice cracked. You wouldn't dare. I finished my coffee, stood up, and smiled for the first time in years. Emily, I don't dare anymore. I do. That night I didn't sleep. I sat by my apartment window, city lights flickering like fading memories. My phone kept buzzing. 10 missed calls from Emily, 3 from unknown numbers. I ignored them all. At 9 a.m. my email pinged. Ethan Keller. Subject line, can we talk? I opened it slowly. Claire, I don't know what you've sent me, but Emily's gone hysterical. Please meet me before this gets worse. Worse? I hadn't even started. We met at his office. Sleek glass walls, soft jazz playing, the kind of place that screams power. Ethan looked tired, confused. He handed me the folder I'd sent. Are these real? He asked quietly. I nodded. Every word, every transaction. I've got bank records too. She used your company's foundation funds for her side projects. He rubbed his face, sinking into his chair. I trusted her. Yeah, I said, so did I. He looked up, anger replacing disbelief. What do you want from me? Nothing, I replied. But I thought you should know who you're marrying. He sat there silent. Then he said something I didn't expect. Canceling the engagement will destroy her. She's already unstable. I met his eyes. She destroyed me at 17. Consider it balance. Before leaving I added, oh, if she threatens me again I'll release everything publicly. I have nothing left to lose. That evening Emily called again. Her voice was trembling now. Claire, please. Don't do this. Ethan broke off the engagement. You've ruined everything. I stayed silent, letting her cry. Then she whispered, Dad's going to find out. You'll make him hate me. A bitter laugh escaped me. He already hates me. You made sure of that. There was a long pause and then she said softly, I didn't mean for him to throw you out. Lies. Her words sounded small now, fragile even. But sympathy? I had none left to give. When the call ended I exhaled deeply and opened my laptop. I uploaded every file to a secure drive labeled E.W. under truth. Just in case. But something told me. Emily wasn't done fighting yet. But neither was I. By the end of that week my name had started circling back into my father's world. Not because of me but because of her. Emily showed up at his office in tears, begging for help. I knew she would. My father was still the same man who believed every word she said. That evening my phone rang again. I hesitated before answering. Claire, he said, voice hard, what have you done to your sister? I stared out the window, calm. You mean the sister who blackmailed me? He scoffed. She told me you forged documents to ruin her engagement. I raced you better than this. I almost laughed. Raced me? He hadn't even checked if I survived that night. He kicked me out. Dad, I said quietly, you raced me to stay silent while you worshipped her lies. He shouted, enough. You'll fix this mess or you're dead to me for good. I smiled faintly. You already made that decision 7 years ago. He hung up. A few hours later a private investigator called my office. Ms. Weston, he said, you might want to know, your sister's under preliminary audit for charity fraud. Someone tipped the authorities. I paused, heartbeat steady. Wasn't me, I replied, though my conscience whispered otherwise. The next morning, tabloids were everywhere. Emily Weston under investigation, fraud allegations in charity scandal. My phone exploded with messages. Friends, clients, even old classmates. Some asking if I was okay, others pretending to care. But one text stood out. You think this is over? You'll regret this, Claire. Emily. That was the moment I realized I hadn't destroyed her life yet, only cracked it open. So, I decided to finish what she started years ago. I booked a flight to my hometown. As the plane took off, I stared at the skyline disappearing beneath the clouds. My reflection in the window didn't look vengeful. It looked calm, certain. When we landed, I whispered to myself, "Time to go home." But this time I wasn't returning as the broken girl Dad threw out. I was coming back as the woman who would make them see the truth they buried. The town hadn't changed, same quiet streets, same cold wind that bit through my coat. But I had. I drove past our old house, the one with the pale shutters and the oak tree out front. My father's car was in the driveway. Through the window, I saw him sitting at the dining table, the same place where he'd once called me disgusting. The irony wasn't lost on me. I didn't knock that night. I just left a sealed envelope in their mailbox. No return name, no note. Inside was a printed transcript of Emily's blackmail call, the fraud files, and the text she sent me demanding money. By morning the storm had begun. At 7 a.m. my father called. His voice was trembling now. "Claire, is this true?" I stayed silent. He exhaled shakily. How could you let this happen?" "I didn't let it happen," I said coldly. "You did. You believed her over me. You threw away your daughter for a liar." There was silence, the kind that carries years of regret. Then softly he whispered, "Claire, I'm sorry. But apologies don't erase scars." That same afternoon, Emily showed up at my hotel. Her makeup was smudged, her hands shaking. She looked nothing like the smug woman from the cafe. "You ruined me," she hissed, voice breaking. "Dad won't even speak to me. Ethan's gone. My job's gone." I met her gaze calmly. "Funny. That's exactly how you left me, except I didn't deserve it." Tears welled in her eyes. "I was jealous, okay? You were smarter, kinder, and everyone loved you. Dad never looked at me that way. I just wanted to win for once." Her confession hung in the air, fragile, human, but too late. "Emily," I said softly, "you didn't want to win. You wanted to erase me." She collapsed into the chair, sobbing. I stood there, still as stone, then whispered, "Now you know what erasure feels like." As I walked out of that room, I felt no triumph, just quiet closure. But life wasn't finished writing its final chapter yet. Because someone else, someone unexpected, was about to step into this story. That evening, as the sun bled gold across the horizon, I received an unexpected call. Mom. Her voice was soft, almost fragile. "Claire, can we talk? Please." It had been years since I'd heard that tone, the kind that once tucked me into bed before fear and silence took her place. We met at the old lakeside park, the same one where she used to bring me for picnics when I was little. The air smelled like pine and old memories. When I saw her, she looked older, not just in years but in guilt. "I heard everything," she said. "Your father's broken. Your sister's been questioned twice already. And she paused, voice shaking, "I should have spoken up that night. I knew you didn't do it, Claire. I just stayed quiet," I finished for her. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "He threatened to cut me off and I was weak. I'm sorry." I sat beside her on the bench, staring at the still water. "I spent years thinking I was the problem," I said. "Every time I succeeded, I wondered if I was still the monster they made me out to be." She reached for my hand. "You were never the monster, Claire. You were the lesson we all refused to learn." For the first time in years, I didn't feel anger, just exhaustion. The kind that comes when the war is nearly over. Mom looked at me quietly. "Your father wants to see you. He said he can't live with what he's done." I didn't answer right away. My heart wasn't ready to forgive, but I wanted him to face what he'd created. So that night I went home again. The same house. The same hallway. The same man who once called me disgusting now stood there, trembling. He didn't speak, just handed me an old photo. It was of us, before Emily's lie, before everything broke. "I found this in my desk," he whispered. "I kept it all these years. I was wrong, Claire. I see that now." I looked at the photo and then at him. "Truth always comes home, Dad," I said. "Even when you lock the door." A week later, Emily's scandal hit the news officially. The fraud investigation concluded with her confession. Every penny traced, every lie exposed. She was sentenced to community service, public apology, and full restitution. Her name, once polished and adored, was now the subject of whispers. I didn't celebrate. I just watched it unfold from a distance. Calm, detached, like someone watching rain finally wash the dirt away. Dad retired quietly soon after. He sold the family house and moved to a small cabin outside town. Mom told me he spent most mornings sitting by the porch, reading letters he never sent. One of them addressed to me. I didn't open it right away. I kept it in my desk drawer for weeks until one night curiosity and closure finally won. Inside was just one line. I should have believed you when it mattered. That was enough. I went to visit him the next day. He looked older, fragile, but when our eyes met, there was no anger left, just the heavy quiet of regret. I sat across from him and said, "You know, for a long time I wanted you to feel what I felt. Alone, unwanted, humiliated." He nodded slowly. "And do I?" I looked around the empty house. "I think you do." He whispered, "I'm sorry, Claire." I didn't say, "I forgive you." I just said, "I know." Because some wounds don't need closure, they just need silence. When I left, I stopped by the lake one last time. The sky was pink and endless, the water calm. For the first time in years I felt light, not because I won but because I let go. Emily never contacted me again. She moved out of state, apparently working for a small firm under her maiden name. Mom visits me often now. We talk like friends, not prisoners of the past. Sometimes people ask if I regret what I did. My answer's simple. No. I didn't ruin her life. I just handed her the mirror she spent years avoiding. And when she looked into it, her own reflection did the rest. So if you've ever been blamed for something you didn't do, stay silent long enough to let truth speak for you.